Next up is John Shuri saying both Romero and Van de Ven will stay if Pochettino becomes manager, but both will leave if De Zerbi becomes manager. This is also contingent on us staying in the Premier League next season. I think they're leaving either way. I think they'll try leave either way anyway. I don't think it matters who's our manager next season.
Yeah,
I think they've burnt too many times.
I think if we stay up, I think one of them will probably stay, most likely Van de Ven. I think if we stay up and we're not hit as badly financially as we're expected to be, I don't think we sell both. I think we allow one of them to leave. It could be either, to be honest, because Romero is our captain. He just signed a long-term deal, so he might be the one forced to stay.
Gentleman's agreement, mate.
Van de Ven is in maybe a stronger position this summer to leave, but then again, he's maybe right now, you would argue, the one you'd rather keep, higher ceiling, and he's a younger and stuff like that. So it's a balancing act. Maybe both will leave, but if Poch is the one to come in, could he have a conversation with Romero? Could he get him on side? Who knows? Yeah, I think De Zerbi coming in. Are they more likely to stay with De Zerbi or with Poch? Yeah, probably Poch, but it's tough to say. I don't think there's much difference, to be honest, in those managers, whether they're staying or not. I don't think it makes too much difference.
I don't think it makes any difference. I really don't. I think the only thing that makes a difference is if they can see with their own eyes the club going in the right direction. If they are kind of forced to stay, or if one of them's forced to stay, then they can be swayed during the course of the season. But from now until the transfer window, I don't think any manager changes their thought process, because I think they look at it and they're like, well, before I came, Pochettino was sacked. We brought in Mourinho, brought in Conte, brought in this one, brought in that one. Nothing changed at this football club. So why would a Pochettino or a De Zerbi change anything?
Fair.
All right, next one is Ian. Says, getting Poch back is a mistake and for vibes only. We need someone else. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I don't think Poch is just for vibes, but it does add vibes. Definitely comes with vibes, for sure. I think Poch is looked at very harshly from the jobs that he's done since leaving Tottenham Hotspur. I really do. I think his Chelsea tenure only lasted a year, but he showed growth in that year, and it got better as the time went on, and his second half of the season was a hell of a lot better than the first half of the season. And his time at PSG, I think, has been shown that PSG needed a lot when Pochettino was manager there, and he left, and they had this whole massive refresh which he wasn't afforded. And they went a completely different direction, brought in loads of young, exciting talent instead of, the likes of Messi's and Neymar's and Mbappe's. And it's got a lot better since then. And obviously they've had an amazing manager in Luis Enrique to realise that vision. But I think if Poch was given the tools that Enrique's does, I'm sure Poch would have done a fantastic job with them.
Yeah, I don't think it's just vibes. I think vibes is probably the main reason, to be honest. But
we need a bit of that as well.
Yeah, we need someone to identify with again, which I think in recent times we've really struggled to identify with the team on the pitch. And I think bringing Poch back would really help in that effect. But he's a good manager, and I know he's got his problems, and I think whatever you want to say about his career and the mitigating circumstances which there have been since he's left, it hasn't gone probably as we expected for him since he's left. We probably thought he was going to go on and probably do a lot better than he has done. That's the truth. But there are, as you say, there are reasons. Maybe he hasn't picked the right clubs. He hasn't chosen the right projects, and that's on him. That goes to his decision making.
And if he chooses Spurs, it'll be another example of that.
Yeah, probably. But would it be a mistake? I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be right now. I think considering the position we're in, if he even gets us back challenging for Europe, then it's not a mistake, is it? And I think he could do that. Yeah,
I agree. Carl Daddy says relegation would be more fun than staying up. We get to see our youth players like Moore, Yang, Olasesi, Byfeld, Luca Williams, Barnett, Devine, who actually care for the club. Whereas if we stay up, we may lose maybe 5 of our best players anyway, and would be mid-table at best next year. What do you think about that?
Would be more fun. I mean, there is a part of me is like, I'd love us to finally realise all the potential we do have in this academy, this golden generation of talent that we potentially have in the academy, and would it take a season of the championship to really realise all that potential of all these players playing for the first team? And all of a sudden, if they're as good as we hope and think they are, and they get us promoted immediately, and all of a sudden we got a bunch of players who live and breathe and die for this club, who are super talented, and maybe for the future that could really benefit us. The problem would that be the downside with that would be, well, if they're not as good as we think they are, and they don't get us promoted, and all of a sudden we're stuck in the championship, and we're relying on them to bail us out, and they're not quite good enough, or they're not quite ready to do that. And all of a sudden, they're the ones under pressure, and they're getting heat from the fans because we want them to be better than they are, and that's obviously a possibility as well. But there's a lot of talent there, and we've seen already, the players going in for other teams in other leagues and in the championship doing very, very well. And so why not? If we were in the championship, they could definitely do that in the Spurs show. Why not? There's a lot of talent. Like, you could probably make a whole team at the moment of players who are out on loan, and would that team get promoted?
I don't know if it get promoted. I think they'll need some more in there with them, but you need experience as well as alongside the exciting youth players that we have. But I'm looking at it and being like, why can't we give some of these guys a go in the Premier League? Like, you've seen the likes of Oluseyi. I've been impressed with him since I've seen him come in the last couple of games and cameo appearances. Byfeld, I've been impressed with him in the European little cameos that he's had. Obviously, it's a different kettle of fish playing from the start and getting an extended amount of minutes, but from the limited amount of time that we've seen these guys play, I've been really excited about them. Really excited. So I think with the injury crisis that we're in and the players that we have, like a Janai Byfeld, like a Luca Williams-Barnett, like an Oluseyi who is still at the club, they should have been given more of a crack of the whip.
I understand that, but you can't rely on an injury crisis to give players an opportunity. You know what I mean? That's not how you bring youth players into the fold. You have to trust them.
That's true.
We keep signing players for 30, 40, 50 million, and they're always going to get preference because they're the ones on bigger wages. They're the ones who spent big transfer fees on. If you're going to be brave, you have to be brave. You have to look at these players and say, okay, we're not going to sign this player for 30 million. We're going to give this guy a chance. Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. That is true.
Unless you do what Kane did, which was just so good, we couldn't ignore him.
Yeah, but however, sometimes, opportunities present themselves. And a massive injury crisis should have been an opportunity to present themselves to some of these players. But it wasn't, and they didn't have the balls to do it. Well, they should have.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I agree, but I'm just saying there's always a clamour to use more youth players. I think there's a contradiction where always fans say we want to bring more youth in, we want to give opportunities, we want to see a pipeline, yet on the flip side, we have to keep spending 40, 50, 60 million pounds on players. We have to have a big squad of players with all these players of 2 players in each position, both bought for 40, 50 million. And then if you do that, there's never going to be a pathway for these players. That's the truth. You have to trust them. You have to give them opportunities. You have to put them in the squad and actually have them be part of the first team squad and players you rely on. And we never do that. And I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. Obviously, they have to be good enough. And if they're not good enough, then you can't rely on them. But I think sometimes I feel like there's contradiction in what fans say a lot of the time.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I'm just talking about the situation that we've been in last season and this season. We've had benches full of academy players, and none of them get looking on the pitch.
Moore played a lot last season.
Yeah, Moore did play a lot last season, but apart from him, who else has there been? You know what I mean? Like, in the situation we're in, where we're overplaying players because they're the only players that we have available. Give a few more minutes to the youngsters. Let's see what can happen.
Byfeld's played a bit.
Yeah, it's not enough. He should have played more. Hate me Frisbee says Daniel Levy would have never let this season's debacle happen. I think probably Daniel would have sacked Frank earlier than he was sacked. I do agree. Maybe we wouldn't be in this crazy relegation as far as into this relegation battle we were if we did keep him. However, it's his doing why we're in this situation as well. Like, I think he takes a lot of blame why we're in the situation that we're in. You know, a lot of people that keep making the wrong decisions are people that he brought to the football club. Transfer window, every single transfer window, bar the January one, was masterminded by him. So the reason that the club are in this mess is solely down to Daniel Levy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think his decision making has been part of the problem, hasn't it? And has been kind of led to the situation we're in at the moment. He's kind of put all the chess pieces in place. He's then been taken out, but the board that he's left is still the one that he's kind of set up. And as much as he might have sacked Frank. I think for sure he would have sacked Frank after the West Ham game. I'm pretty certain of that. Which, you know, we persisted with him and we didn't win another game for another, it cost us 4 league games that, and we ended up, you know, being in an even worse position than after that.
Harry said Levy would have brought Harry back in.
That's what he says. I don't. Who knows with Harry if it's true or not? But who knows if Levy would? He might have sacked Frank, but who knows if the guy he would have replaced him with would have been a good fit?
Yeah.
You know, would bringing Harry back would have that saved us? Who knows? Would we still be in this situation? There's a good chance we would be. So, I don't know. I think Levy, I think a big part of the problem we're in this mess is because of Levy. He's not exempt from responsibility.
Like I said, I think he's one of the main culprits of why we're in this mess. However, we're all calling for change a lot earlier, and I think he would have made that change a lot earlier.
It's true.
Ben Hayes says Werner last season was better alone than Kolo Muani. I disagree.
Disagree?
Yeah, I disagree.
I think Werner first season.
Yeah, Werner first season for sure.
Werner first season was
but
better.
Werner last season was...
We left him out of the squad, didn't we?
Mate, just look back at that Tamworth game and tell me Werner last season was better than Muani. And I've been no fan of Muani this season. I've berated him so many times. But Werner got 0 Premier League goals last season. I think he scored 1 goal in the Cup last season against Man City.
Good goal.
It was a good goal. But his loan spell last season was a complete disaster. And Muani's loan this season has also been a bit of a disaster. Well, kind of a disaster. But at least he's had a couple of games where he's shown us something, particularly in the Champions League.
Also, amount of sitters Werner missed. Oh my God! You can make an unbelievable compilation. The amount of misses he missed.
Yeah, but I completely agree with you. First season Werner loan was a lot better than Muani's loan this season. I agree with that.
Yeah, no, Werner last season was so bad, like ridiculously bad. Even though he felt like he was trying, and sometimes it's felt like Muani's not been trying, he's still shown more quality than Werner has.
Tottenham Logic TV says Romero is our third best centre-back behind Danso and Van der Ven, massively overrated by our fans, and Vuskovic will go past his level by the time he's 21.
What, in 2 years' time? Oof, maybe. I mean, look, I don't think he's... I think he's our best centre-back, personally. I think he's better than Van der Ven, and I think he's better than Danso. But right now it's hard to make that case given how he's playing.
If you're talking solely based on the quality of player, I think this is wrong. But when you take everything into account, who would you prefer to see on the pitch right now? I agree. Danso should be the first centre-back on the team sheet.
Yeah, I mean, Danso's the one just making the least mistakes at the moment. That's the truth. He's the one getting caught out, and he's the one kind of just not having brain dead and lost lapses in concentration, which Van der Ven and Romero seem to be doing on a weekly basis. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to the quality of the player, no, I think Romero is our best centre back, and I think he's so important to the team. The way he plays on the ball as well. When he's not on the pitch, we just miss that so much, and it goes under the radar how important that is because we don't have a passer in midfield. So you need someone playing through the lines. Romero's the only one who does it. I feel like Romero does too much even, and I think we rely on him to do way too much in this team, and that's part of the problem as well in terms of all phases of play. But at the moment, it's hard to argue he's playing well. Will Vuskovic go past him by the age of 21? So in 2 years' time, he'll be better defended than Romero is now. I don't know about that.
I wouldn't put it past him the way Vuskovic is going. I really wouldn't. The guy is a beast, man. I think, put it this way, at 21, I reckon more clubs will be interested in Vuskovic than they are with Cuti Romero right now.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, I do agree Vuskovic will go past Romero by the time he's 21. Justin Gamble says the only manager that has a chance to save this club from relegation is Ange. He knows these players and he won't have to waste time profiling them or putting together his best 11. Any other manager will take a few games to figure that out, and by that time the season is over. I mean, we've spoken about this quite a lot over the last couple of days, and
Ange back.
I don't know if he's the only manager that can save the club from relegation, but I think he's probably the best candidate that can hit the ground running.
I think he's just the most obvious candidate, if possible. Like, I think the main thing is you need someone. I think the main problem at the moment isn't about... I mean, tactics is a massive issue and everything, but I think just getting these players to believe again, getting these players on side again, getting these players to, really listen to instructions, getting a manager who they like, they trust, they'll run through brick walls for. That is like the main issue at the moment. And Ange solves those problems in the short term. He really does. And we know that, yes, the way he plays football in a certain way, but I think when he has the players, in some games he will be able to blow teams away, and we just need him to do it a couple of times, or 2 or 3 times, and that'll be enough. We don't need him to do it every game, and if he can pull a few results or a few performances out of the bag, which we are capable of, when we had Romero and Van de Ven under Ange, our record's pretty good, and we're going to have them available. I think they like him a lot, so I think they will play better for him, in my opinion, if he was at the club. I think it's our best shot if it's possible. Look, it's probably not possible, but if there's a conversation to be had, have it, because I think, for me, 7 games to go, someone who knows the squad, as I think he puts it perfectly, he won't have to profile the players. He won't have to take any time figuring out who plays where. He knows the players. He knows the team. He knows the dynamics. He knows everything. So he will be able to come in and know exactly what he wants straight away. Whereas other managers might take a couple of games to figure it out.
It's a big thing right now is what we need is motivation. And that's what Ange's best quality is, being able to motivate people. Mm-hmm. So, I do agree with it.
A couple of speeches and they'll be right on board.
Himothy says, Højbjerg and Lo Celso would be our midfield starters if they were still here. I agree.
I think Højbjerg for sure.
Yeah, I think Lo Celso as well, man. Like, even in Lo Celso's last season for Spurs, he was still good.
Under Ange, he was good.
He was good, man, and like there was a lot of times where he used to play well, and then Ange would just take him out of the team for low. I just didn't understand it. Where he was performing at a really good level. So I think if you get that version of Lo Celso back and Højbjerg, I think they both start for us.
Yeah, because right now who's playing Gray, Sarr, Gallagher, Basuma's been injured.
Højbjerg, Gray, Lo Celso, middle three.
Højbjerg, Gray, Lo Celso. Does Lo Celso get in ahead of Javi?
I think, I don't know. Maybe you just do Højbjerg, Lo Celso, Javi.
I think Højbjerg for sure we could do with someone like him right now, because I think at the time when he left, obviously we wanted upgrading on him. We wanted better technical quality, right? That was the big issue with Højbjerg. He was a bit too slow on the turn. He had a decent passing range, but as soon as you pressed him or as soon as you put him under pressure, he struggled a bit and his passing would be erratic, and we just needed someone who's a bit more press resistant.
Better for someone that can't pass at all.
That's the point. We've now gone just to like the likes of Sarr, Gallagher. He can't seem to
Paulinho.
pass. Has Paulinho. The technical ability hasn't risen. That's the reality, and that's the biggest problem. So we're better off. We've actually probably gotten worse than Højbjerg. That's the truth. Yeah. So, in hindsight, it's similar to selling Brennan. I don't think selling Brennan or selling Højbjerg was a wrong decision. It's just who we replace him with was the problem.
If you're selling players that are in the first 11, you need to upgrade on them. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you're in trouble.
Exactly.
And that's what we're seeing right now. Mm-hmm. Jacko Katz, this is the last one, saying sacking Frank after January transfer window was a mistake. You do it before or you just don't. And in hindsight, that is absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I think sacking. I think when we're in the position we were. I think when was the Forest game? That was December, wasn't it? So just before the window opened. If you're already having those doubts and when you can see it's not working, I think that was the time. That was a good opportunity to do it. I think the West Ham game was in the mid-January, early January. That was a good time to do it. Get a new manager in, give him a bit of time to address some issues and maybe ask for players that maybe he thinks the squad needs, all this kind of stuff. We did the worst thing, which was ride out with Frank, not give him any money anyway, except for Gallagher, and then as soon as the window closed, we sack him. Like, the logic in that, which is what we were saying throughout the window, like, don't keep him and then sack him straight off the window. Just don't do that. That's a nonsense.
Yeah.
So the way the club have dealt with it has been horrendous. Look, I think the players, at the end of the day, the players had to stop playing for Frank. That's the main issue. Once that happens, you're on hiding to nothing. So I don't think, obviously sacking Frank was inevitable. It had to be done. Just the timing of it has always been a big issue. It's always been
the biggest issue.
It's been horrendously done by the club, and look, Frank had to go, but why leave it so long? I'll never understand. Why wait to the end of the January window? I'll never understand. And now we're here.
Yeah, it could massively cost us. That's the reality. But look, those are the unpopular opinions. If you've got more for us to react to, we'll react to them next week. But put some more unpopular opinions in that comment section below. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.